welcome to Dishing with Stephanie's Dish, the podcast where we talk to people in the food space and a lot of cookbook authors. And this book came across my desk by Laura Klynstra. And right away, I was like, pie. Laura, your book, 100 Pie Tart and Galette Recipes for Every Season, is extremely beautiful. And it kind of, when I read through the whole book and I read through your bio, I was like, oh, well, she's like in the design field because honestly, this is probably one of the most beautiful books on pie I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
It's so
Um,
incredible. Like just the way that the pies are decorated, the color choices that you used for the intros, everything is laid out so it feels easy, accessible. Even like the whole rolling out the pie dough section, there's tons of pictures, the decorating of the lattice work. It's a really well done book. Congratulations.
oh, thank you so much.
What's your background and how did you come to be the pie aficionado?
My background is actually cover design. I'm a book cover designer, an art director. But I also, during all of the time that I've been an art director, I've also worked on a lot of cookbooks. So I gotten to go on a lot of photo shoots, work with food stylists and photographers. And during that whole time, I just kind of sat back and watched and learned all the bits. And it took time. I'm a self-taught photographer. It took me a long time to really figure out how to capture light correctly, and light is really the key to getting a good photo. So yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, but eventually I figured out a system to get my camera mounted correctly. I shoot manually and get that light. But I consider every photo similar to what the way I look at a cover design. It's not just here's your pie or whatever it is you're shooting. There's a lot of things going on around it. And so it's telling a story. The photograph is telling a story. It's giving you a sense of the time, especially like the fall ones are a lot of fun to shoot. So many great things to prop that you can put in with the photos for the fall shots. And it's a lot of fun.
Did you amass a large library of props and did you have things already or were you always on the lookout?
This is my third book, so I had a lot of props already. I have like all these storage shelves downstairs. I have the weirdest things. You know, I go to antique stores and I'm always looking for old boxes and just everything, pretty much everything that could possibly have anything to do with baking. If I go to an antique store, I'm always like, I need that, especially pie servers, old silverware. Like
Yes.
I hate photographing with a shiny silver, piece of silver, or a new one that it never, for one thing, you can end up reflecting your camera in that. So these old patinaed silverware and things like that are just fabulous to have. Like you just gotta have a ton of those in your
Agreed. Agreed. Thus my sort of background of stuff from my cookbook styling myself. In Can we talk about pie crust? Do you have like what you would say is your definitive pie crust that you mostly use?
For sweet pies, there's a recipe in there called a maple pie crust, and that's actually my favorite crust to use. It's very similar to a regular crust, except for a lot of the liquid is made with a pure maple syrup.
Mhm.
And when you roll that crust out, that syrup gives it like a pliability that just it doesn't crack the way sometimes you can get with the regular all butter pie crust. And it's just so easy and so it's just supple. It's my favorite one, but I'd only use it for sweets, even though you don't really taste the maple. It's like, you know how when you add maple to something, it doesn't have a strong flavor. It's
Yeah.
not as strong as what you would expect it to be. But if you're beginning, that would be my crest recommendation for somebody who's just beginning because it does make it really easy to roll out.
I love
I
this
know.
tip because I use vodka in my pie crust to kind of do the same thing. It gives you that moisture when you're putting the assembly together and the roll, but then it bakes out in the final
Right.
product, so you get kind of a crispier situation. Maple, I've never thought of that. I wonder, have you ever tried honey? Would it do the same thing?
I haven't tried it. I would expect it would, and it would just add a little bit of sweetness. The other thing is buttermilk. You can add a little buttermilk that I don't know if you've ever made pie dough and then put it in your refrigerator and left it in there for 2 days and it started to turn kind of like a gray color.
Yes.
When you add some acid, like from the buttermilk, it keeps it from doing that. I'm not sure. I don't know what the science is behind that, but
Oh,
a
that's
little,
cool.
I think the vodka might too. I'm not sure. I haven't
That's a
tried it that
great,
way.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. And I'm trying to think if I've noticed it with or without vodka, and I can't say truthfully I have. But like a lot of times for Christmas or Thanksgiving or any of the special holidays, you're making your crusts in advance because you've got so much to do. So that's a really
Mhm.
great tip. I love it.
Yep, yep, and you can also freeze pie dough. So you can make if you're having Thanksgiving and you can do it a week ahead. Just wrap each one individually and then put it inside a freezer Ziploc bag and then throw it in the freezer. And that way you've got something that's totally done even a week in advance.
One thing that I really liked about this book too was you took pie into not just sweet places, but also savory. So there's a lot of galette and like savory forward dishes like a potato bacon Gruyere galette. You've got
Hmm.
quiche. Do
Oh
you
yeah, the
eat a
quiche
lot
is
of
so good.
savory pies? Because that's actually kind of one of my favorite ways to do it. This samosa pie looks amazing.
The samosa pie is so popular at my house. So popular. We love that one. So yeah, we do eat that one quite a bit. The quiches we do a lot. Some of the other ones not as often, but like the asparagus one is kind of just more of something that I would bring to a party.
Yeah, spring
Um,
or Easter.
yeah, like that first time when you asparagus is one of the first things that comes out in the spring, and so you're just like dying to get something fresh.
We
And
talked
it's a
before I started the podcast that she's in Michigan, I'm in Minnesota, and literally like when you see anything green at the store, and we always jump the gun, right? Because
yeah.
we get produce from the coast before we get our own, but there's nothing better than like your own homemade asparagus.
Yes, and the rhubarb is the other thing that comes up the soonest. And it, again, I love rhubarb. It's just
So do
a
I. I think that's my next book, actually. It
like a
just,
whole rhubarb book.
yes, because
That'd be
I'm
cool.
obsessed with it and I have like 60 recipes. So I'm like, I'm about
Wow.
halfway there.
What kinds of recipes are they? Like cakes and
Yeah, yes, like bars and cakes and pies and custards, but also chutneys and
nice.
pork dishes and breads, cookies.
That's a fabulous idea.
Yeah,
I'm on board with that one.
I
I'll
think
make
I
it.
might have to like submit that as my next proposal. We'll see. Another thing that happened this year about pies, I guess it was maybe last year, but it created quite a kerfuffle, and you address it in this book, is the loss of the chocolate wafer cookie.
Oh,
The company that makes the chocolate wafer cookie, I believe it was Nabisco,
mhm,
stopped making that chocolate wafer cookie. And it was the base for a lot of people's like mud pies or chocolate pie crust that
mhm.
were the press-in crusts or the cookie crusts. And people were really freaked out. And people were, we need a recipe to make this cookie. So in here, you have your own chocolate cookie recipe.
Yeah, yep. It's got the black cocoa in it. Like it's actually like an Oreo, but without the. And if you do end up using Oreos, do take out that middle part. I always scrape out the. If you don't, you're going to end up with kind of like a too much butter, and it's not going to work. But yeah, you can make your own so that you're not adding all these preservatives and yucky things into your pies. But sometimes people don't have time. I mean, I totally understand that you can't
Yeah,
always make
and I
your own.
guess maybe depending on your audience too, like if you're making something for a kid's birthday party, maybe that filling
Hmm.
will be fine. Not that we feed our kids less delicious things than we feed ourselves, but come on, we kind of do. Um,
Sometimes.
I do love to, there's a lot of detail in this book about garnishes and
Hmm.
sauces, and the white chocolate cranberry tart is just a beautiful photograph, but it also has these sugared cranberries. Tell me
Yep.
about those, and obviously putting them on a tart is delightful, but what else could we do with those? Because those were just gorgeous.
I've used them on cakes and just even if you're doing a spread like a holiday spread,
Oh yeah.
they look beautiful in a little bowl. And that same method, the method to make those is you create a simple syrup and then you dunk the cranberries in the the simple syrup, and then you let it dry and they become really sticky. And then you roll them in sugar. So they look really beautiful. But you can do that same process with mint leaves, rose petals, rosemary, and it's just a beautiful garnish, especially in the winter because it has that sparkle to it. It just makes it look more special than if you were just going to, lay a sprig of rosemary next to something.
When you started making pies, do you remember how old you were and what is it about pies that captured your imagination?
Well, I really like the handmade nature of it. The fact that I mean, I before I made pies, I was a cookie baker. Cookies were my things because that's the easiest thing when you're a kid. And I baked since I was basically able to. My mom was a wedding cake baker, so we had all the supplies and all of
Oh,
the
wow.
yeah, all the inspiration was there.
Yep.
Um, but I didn't start making pie. And my mom, she loved pie too, but she always used the pie crust from the box, which I kind of hate, but
Same. Same.
but she just didn't like rolling out dough, so she just used the rolled up version. But you can buy better versions than the red box. There are some
Trader
original.
Joe's is surprisingly good.
I think that yeah, Whole Foods has one too that's butter instead of like the other weird oils that are in the other
Mhm.
one. But I think maybe all of my love of like rolling out cookies, and then you kind of turn that into rolling out dough. It was a learning curve. I don't think that we just all naturally can know how to make a pie crust and how to roll it out, and you have to practice a little bit. But the lovely part of a pie versus a cake or a cookie is that there's just more of your hands involved. And because I make so many things electronically and digitally, because I'm a book cover designer, so
Yep.
to be able to make something physically with your hands is both relaxing and satisfying, and I think it makes like a more special finished product. It makes a great gift or something to share with people to bring to the office or a party or a potluck, and it just feels like a pie has a slightly more personal touch to it than maybe a cookie does or a bar, even though I love cookies and bars, don't get me wrong.
Yes. Tell me about your other books.
So this is the Homemade Pie Cookbook is the first book I've written by myself. My book just before this one was called Gather and Graze, and I wrote with my former colleague who is also an art director. She does she works at HarperCollins.
Sure.
Mumtaz Mustafa, and I have it right here. This is
Oh,
it,
look at
Gather and
that.
Graze.
That's
So
beautiful.
this is more of like a party table spread book. So Mumtaz is brilliant with savory food, and I'm more of a baker. She's from Pakistan, so she's
Yeah.
got this really broad sense of spice, and just brilliant with the savory. So we split this book up anything that was baked in the oven I've made, and then pretty much everything that was cooked on stove she made, and it's divided by country. So it's a really fun international style party book.
I love that. I'm glad you
It,
brought it to my attention. I'll for sure put that in the notes.
yeah, it's quite fat. It's there's over like 170 recipes in it. It's
Wow.
not a lightweight book. And then the book before that I wrote with my mother, uh,
Oh, look at that. Cute.
Chris, Christmas baking. And this one it does well every holiday season, and it's been out for I think 5 years, and so it's kind of a perennial, hopefully at this point. And it's just all my favorite, but Christmas baked goods. There's a breakfast chapter in there for Christmas morning.
Holiday high points. What's next?
I got my way, and who knows if I will. I would like to do a fall baking book.
What would that
That
look
would
like? I'm thinking apple. You have quite a like pumpkin chapter in here with
Yep, yep. It
different
would have all
pumpkin.
of those cozy. It would just be all the cozy recipes. And I just love the styling of fall too. Fall's one of my favorite seasons. So
Yeah.
that would be super fun. But I also have another idea for called like I want to call it Paradise Baking or Baking Paradise, which would be all tropical recipes, which would be
That's a
fun.
great idea, and that's not something we've seen before.
I haven't seen it. No. I have a second home in Guatemala, so I could do a lot of the photography there, which would be fun.
It
The
would be
first,
cool.
yeah, the first few recipes in the homemade pie cookbook were shot in Guatemala. The lime, mango, and the hummingbird pie. So I got all of that those props while I was down there.
Yeah, in the and beautiful colors. You also dedicate like a whole spread to apples for pie. And we just talked about this on our TV show that I'm on. And Honeycrisp is obviously an apple I use a lot because it's Minnesota
Yeah,
made. Granny Smith is an apple that I think works really well for pies. Do you mix your types of apples when you're making like
sometimes,
apple pie?
sometimes I do. The Pink Lady is actually one of my favorite ones now that I've been, baking so many apple pies. It's got like a tartness to it. But yeah, there you can mix them for sure. Just don't ever use a Macintosh.
Yeah. Or like the Red Delicious, which is now
Oh yeah,
that's the worst selling apple.
I don't think they're very delicious.
They're not. And it's kind of funny that like that was like our lunchbox apple for basically our whole lives. Like, why did we have to eat such terrible apples? I'm so glad they've gotten better.
Yes, there's some. I mean, pretty much every variety is better.
Yes, pretty much. When you make a galette or a tart, let's just say savory, do you adjust that dough at all, or do you use your same basic pie dough?
I use the same. Well, the tart is a totally different dough, but the galette is the same pie dough as the regular pies.
And just
And you
kind
could use the yeah, you could use the maple pie. You could make the maple crust for a galette as well
of, okay.
if it's a sweet. I wouldn't put it on a savory.
When would you ever make, like, I love the idea of slab pies because I think they're kind of cool looking, but they seem like they're just not great. Like, I don't know, who's going to get the middle piece? And then it's just always like so messy and kind of falls apart. I love the idea of like everyone getting a little bit of crust on the edge and then having their perfect little triangle. Do you serve slab pies a lot? And am I missing the boat here?
Oh, not a lot, but I would bring them to more of like a potluck or
Mhm.
something. The same thing that I would bring bars to, although you really can't pick it up and eat it quite
Yeah,
often because it's going to be kind of a more gooey center than a bar. But it's just you get a little bit more. It's going to go farther than a pie. So if you just want to bring one thing and it needs to cover more people, I would bring a slab pie for that, like a potluck, summer potluck.
people always ask me what my favorite recipe is in my book, and I always have the dumbest answers. So if I ask you what's your favorite recipe in your book, do you like have a answer that you're set on?
Well, the lemon meringue tart on the cover is one of my favorite recipes in the book, and I've never been a big lemon meringue pie person, and I don't know why. This is a has a Swiss meringue, and it's a little bit different than the lemon meringue pies that we all grew up eating. And I also feel like lemon meringue pie has too much lemon to like the crust is too little to the lemon, like the
And then you get
ratio.
the big like meringue
Guava,
part,
yeah,
like
yeah. So this I feel like is the perfect ratio of meringue to lemon to crust. It's got a thick shortbread crust on it. So it's actually kind of reminiscent of those lemon bars. And you're from the Midwest, so you probably had
yes,
those lemon bars
where
that
you press
everybody
in
likes
the
to.
crust.
Yep. It's kind of like an elevated version of one of those lemon bars.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try it because I always make something with lemon for Easter. It's sort of just something I do for the big Easter brunch. So maybe I'll use this as my recipe this year.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to work on a book?
Um, well, I mean, it's hard to give a full like because there's a lot of time thinking about it and planning. Like my first step to doing a book is writing the table of contents.
Yep.
Is that what you do too?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do an Excel
So
spreadsheet of all the recipes I think I want. Then
yeah,
I sort of like try to organize them in some way. And then I start like thinking about the narrative and where I'm going to put it,
right.
how I'm going to
Right.
start.
And so there's like this long like thinking period that you're not, it's just I don't know. So it's hard to put a time on how long it takes. But once everything is set and I've gotten a few shots done and a few recipes tested, I can do a book in a year and a half or a year.
Hmm.
I mean, if I'm really focused on it. But I'm
Yeah.
also doing all the photography and the design, so it's a pretty intense process.
Yeah, because I just submit my photographs and my Word docs, and the designer makes it look pretty. And gosh, you have to do
Mhm.
the whole thing. That is harder.
And I don't have to, but you've done this much, and I am a designer. It's kind of hard to hand the design
Of
off to
course.
somebody else when you're, and that's like what I do. So yeah.
Of course. When you think about other cookbooks that you love, whether from a design feature or from just like that you go back to them and use them a lot, give me like a couple of your favorites.
The Martha Stewart's baking handbook. I don't know if you have that. It's got an orange spine. It's kind of like a go-to, like, oh, I want to make banana bread. It's just so reliable. So that one is always in my kitchen. Um, I also really like the Bake from Scratch series. Have you seen those big? They're really huge. I think they're not written all by the same person. I think there's an editor that collects
Yep.
recipes. It's based on the magazine, I believe. But the thing I love about those is there's so many recipes in those books. They're just loaded with recipes, and then you can just kind of page through and get like all kinds of inspiration and ideas. So I love those. I'm a big fan of Erin Jean McDowell, who is also a pie person. I like watching her on like her videos and stuff.
Do you
And
watch a lot of people like on YouTube?
I'm not a lot, no. I mean, mostly on Instagram. I'm
Oh,
watching, the quicker reels that come through, and
yep.
that's one of the things that made me so inspired to want to do the fall thing is when the fall baking stuff starts coming out on Instagram and all these beautiful baked goods and this wonderful mood of cozy comes through. That like creators are just amazing at how they put this mood out there, and I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty delightful. Um, I was just gonna think of another question I had for you, but it totally just fell out of my brain right as I thought about it. Um, have you ever had the chance to meet like any other bakers in any of your cookbook travels?
Um, Specifically bakers, it seems like most of the books I've worked on have been more chef related, like cooks, like Melissa Clark. I worked
Hmm.
on some of her cookbooks. I did the photography for Brie McCoy. I don't know if you've seen her book. It's called The Cook's Book.
Yep.
I did her photography for that book. So yeah, I've that kind of stuff, but I haven't done any specifically for bakers. So
If in your work life, do you like when someone gives you a recipe and you're like the person that photographs it and does the final, like, is that an appealing piece of work for you?
oh yeah, I love to do that too. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, got a couple of them in the works right now that are coming down the pipeline.
There's a
So I
lot of
like to,
creators that do that, and I didn't realize that, but that they maybe have a favorite recipe or they have recipes, but they don't have the time or they don't want to be the one who puts it together for the book, so they hire all that out. Do you get any jobs like that that are one-offs, or do you mostly just do like a whole project?
mostly a whole project.
Yeah, it's
So
it's interesting. There's a lot of people out there that will cook your stuff if you find the right person. And um, I didn't realize that that was such a robust business, but apparently it is. Do you keep like a food blog yourself, or is it mostly just the book?
I'm mostly in the book, but I have my friend who wrote Gather and Graze with me we have an Instagram that's called Spice and Sugar.
Oh,
She's
cute.
the Spice and Sugar table because Spice and Sugar was taken. Um, and she's the spice and I'm the sugar, of course.
That's sweet. And you guys share it, so you just post when you're inspired.
Yeah, yeah. And we haven't posted it as much as we should.
Yeah, sometimes like what sounds good and feels good just falls away, right? It's no reason or rhyme, just all of a sudden you're like, not as interested in that anymore.
Well, I think we're so both of us are so focused in the book world and
Yeah.
our careers are very busy. So it's like I feel like to really maintain one of those, robust social media sites, you have to be pretty much focused on it.
Yeah, some
So,
people post like on Facebook like 12 times a day. I don't know how
mhm.
they manage it all, but do you watch any baking shows? Like, are you a Great British Bake Off aficionado or?
I don't. I watch almost no TV.
Okay, so I love that. And you have chickens too, right? And
I
do you
have
have,
chickens and duck. Hmm.
okay,
Yep.
and do you eat the duck eggs and the chicken eggs, obviously?
Yeah, usually the duck eggs I use in baking. I don't, it has a slightly different flavor, and if you're not used to it, it's kind of like it feels a little weird. But they're actually have a higher fat content in a duck egg, and they're really great for baking, especially for cakes and yeah.
Oh, I love that. I don't think I ever thought about duck eggs in context of baking. That's so neat.
Mhm. They're a little larger, so sometimes you have to be a little like careful because
Yeah.
they might end up being too much egg in your depending on how many eggs are in the like if there's four eggs, you would probably only put three.
Yeah, you
Not
can
good for
kind of
them.
see it too when you have
Yeah.
the egg,
Mhm.
like the size. All right, the book is the Homemade Pie Cookbook. It's 100 pie tart and galette recipes for every season. Like I said, it's beautiful, but even if you're like not thinking you're a pie person, I really think people would like this book because there's ice cream pies, there is icebox pies. Again, there's a lot of savory. There's tarts, there's some cookies in here, some sauces. There's just a lot of different things. When I started to go through the book, I was pleasantly surprised that there's a lot to offer here. There's whoopie pies. Your whoopie pie recipe looked great.
They're very delicious.
Yeah, everybody loves a good whoopie pie, don't they?
Yeah, I thought I might be stretching it a little bit with that one, but I'm like, it's called pie, so it's
It's a
going in there.
pie. That's right. It's Laura Klynstra, the Homemade Pie Cookbook. Thanks for being with me today, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me. It was
Yeah, for
fun.
sure. And when you get your next book ready, give me a call anytime. I love talking to you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.